And this morning, we're closing out the month with something, like I said, a little different. We're looking at our local ministry, our local ministries that we are a part of, some ministries that is very active in the life of our church. And so what we've done is we've invited a couple folks to come and to just chat together with us this morning as we look at the power of local. So I'd like to invite Jost, Susan Martin, and Ike forward to come and join me on stage here and ask a few questions as we look at, look at some of our local ministries, some of the local reach. And this isn't exclusive. There's a whole lot of other ministries that happen and take place throughout the life of this church. But these are three that we wanted to highlight this morning. Well, with the best looking. I wasn't going to say it, but the best looking. If you're going to say it, Yost, absolutely. Absolutely. So good. Hi, guys. Good morning. Thanks for joining us and being here with us.
Should we preach the same sermon, or would you like
Yes, you preach the same sermon. Yeah. So something I didn't add to our first service, but just as a way of reminder, we said a couple of weeks ago that each and every one of us, as people of Jesus, that we are called to minister. We're called to serve. God has equipped each and every one of us as people of Jesus to be able to give back, to do something to impact people in the community around us for the sake of Jesus. And these are a couple of those folks that are using some of those gifts and those skills in their lives. So first and foremost, tell us who you are, although most of us know. Tell us who you are and tell us kind of your area of service, your area of ministry. We start with you, Jost.
I am Kristen's best friend. My mic on, yeah. That's how you know me, that I'm Kristen's husband, but I actually do some stuff outside of Kristen. So I think the reason why I'm up here is twofold. I'm working with children. I've been doing this for a while now. Before that, I worked with youth. Before that, I worked with adults, and before that, also with children. And that's what I'm doing, and I'm doing that mostly because I'm a real believer in relationships. I build relationships with those kids, and it's much more fun down there anyway than up here. Much more lively, let me tell you that. But I'm also writing, and I'm doing that sort of, while not officially, but sort of as commissioned by the church, by you guys. And I'm writing books, I'm writing articles. In fact, there's one book out there that you guys can take with you if you want to on the way out.
Great, thanks.
I'm Ike Launstein. I am one of three in a leadership role of the Christmas in July, along with Kevin Ladd and Ed Armstrong, and we provide the leadership role for that organization.
Great. Susan?
I'm Susan Martin, and I'm the director of Project Blessing Food Pantry, and I've been there 8 years in a leadership role, and I am there because Pastor Allen asked me.
That's right. Good. So what is it that, what kind of led you to get involved? What are maybe some of the motivation of things that led you to get involved in some of these areas of service in your life? Now, one, Alan, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Alan asked me. It is not, I had never volunteered in a food pantry. He asked me to write grants because I'm a grant writer. And I thought, well, this is great. They throw all kinds of money at food pantries at that time. And I thought, I'm going to look really good bringing some dollars in. But I didn't know about food systems, so I had to learn a lot about food systems, and I had to learn about the need that the people had and adjust my understanding and my way of resolving issues and looking at the challenges in new ways to be able to be effective and competitive in that grant writing and make it a possibility for the pantry to remain open.
Now, I didn't ask you this first service, but do you do like the show me the money scene in the movie, right? Show me the money. As the grant writer?
No.
No? Okay.
I just want you to give me money.
Okay,
I don't want to be a fanfare. It's a
That's
lot
good.
of work.
That's good.
It's a lot of work.
That's good.
But we have a compelling argument here in our community that makes us competitive is we're innovative, and it's thanks to the backing of this church who allows us to look at the people where they're at and serve them the way that they're needed. We don't ask a lot of questions like other pantries do. We're not invasive. We're not unwelcoming. And that has made a difference on how the community sees the pantry and supports the pantry. But it is the backing of the church and going where you're divinely led is making it an innovative pantry.
That's great. That's cool. Ike, what are some of the things that led you to get involved with Christmas in July, or serving in general, if you will?
Well, Christmas in July has been in this community for 15 or so, at least 15 years. And just a history real fast is it was created by a man named Stan Bates at the Presbyterian Church. And it came to a point where the Presbyterian Church was not able to handle that. And I was very pleased and proud that this church stepped up, took that program on, and continued that program. And I started out, on that particular Saturday, when it's typically been, I think, the second Saturday in July for a long time. I started out as just a worker. I've cut weeds and done other things, and it feels good. I like doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
That's great. You have anything particular of what has really kind of led you to dive in, to get involved and serve and give back?
When I look at Ike, I so admire him for continuously working hard with his hands and, of course, his mind, organizing stuff. And that's something I can't do. I'm limited physically. I cannot lift. I cannot, do hard work. So if that is gone, I have to look at something else. And I realized that I'm good at making relationships, and I think that I can connect with kids of all kinds of ages, and I also realized that that's something that is not just one directional, but it's two directional. So the relationship that I built with the kid builds a relationship with me, and it's very it's really quite fulfilling to not quite. It's very fulfilling to encounter that and to continue to build those relationships. So in a way, it's something that comes out of an inability, but it then made me look at, well, I must have something else, and that was one of the things. And the other is the writing. That's the same thing, kind of. You don't need much physical strength to write. And so that's something that I've been really passionate about, and I've been doing a lot of.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, Susan, tell us a little bit of what Project Blessing does, the services they provide, some of that reach, and maybe some exciting things that's pretty new.
Yes, there's some really exciting new things happening, but most food pantries are supplemental food providers to people who are enduring food insecurity. Basically, that means we feed people. We provide access to food. In 2016, we began with open distribution that many of you know about. It's different than most pantries. You can only come once a month. With open distribution, you may come when you need and take what you need. Most pantries are designed for you to take the amount of food depending on your family size, and that's decided by the director. So my culture, my background, growing up in the Midwest in a middle-class family, I would say you would need these items to eat. So we're telling people how to eat. That's how most pantries operate. With Project Blessing, using open distribution, we just provide the largest amount of food possible and the largest variety possible, and then you decide what you need to make your household nutritious, healthy meals. So we take that judgment piece out of it. We take that telling people what they need. And what we do is we bring the resources to people and they get to decide what they need. That really opened the door. The first year that I was there in 2015, we distributed 39,000 pounds of food. In 2016, with this attitude of abundance, with open distribution, we distributed 200,000 pounds of food. So it makes a difference, your attitude of how you approach the work. And through this time, like Jost, we just become innovative and change with what is thrown with us, with the challenges that are before us. And with the support and the backing of this church, we have been able to be very innovative through the COVID pandemic and have been able to offer texting and you can text your order in, and then we will deliver it. But DoorDash approached us with a new program that they have called Project Dash, where they deliver charitable food, and they will pay the Dashers, which is their drivers, and there's no charge to us, and there's no charge to the clients. So we have created a new industry here in town through Project Blessing by creating 10 driver jobs that are being paid for by corporate dollars outside of our community. And we now have 10 Door Dashers that deliver food throughout our whole service area, to where before we were limited to just 5 miles. Now we can deliver all the way out to Scottsburg, and we can deliver up to the Smith River store. So that is just opening up opportunities for access for folks with kids and families that work. We'll have some evening delivery hours, and then in a few weeks we'll have an online store presence and app for your smartphone where you can actually order online and have the food delivered. So again, we're just opening that access, going where we are divinely guided, and resolving issues in a community. It's pretty innovative, and I would say we're the only pantry in Oregon, if not the nation, that has the programs that we have. We have more than food programs. We are having the whole student program and whole baby program, which provides food, clothing, and hygiene items. So there's a lot more than just food that walks out of our door.
Wow, that's incredible.
It was a lot, sorry.
That's incredible. That's
I could talk for hours.
Yeah, that is super incredible what the food pantry is Project Blessing is able to do. Yeah, Ike, tell us a little bit about Christmas in July. I know a lot of us are familiar with it, but just give us a little bit more of what
Okay.
Project.
Sure. Well, first off, Christmas in July also is changing. And it's, of course, neighbors helping neighbors, but we have shifted from just that one day in July, which this year was the 9th of July, from that to a program where this year we started looking at, I think, close to 30 project possibilities. Now, we didn't do 30, but we look at those as a board, and we had a couple of projects that we dealt with before July 9th. We dealt with plugging holes where rats were coming into a mobile. We worked in putting together a door for an individual that needed a door installed. Then on the 9th of July, there were about 15 different projects that were going on, and they ranged everywhere from rebuilding a porch to cutting blackberries in a couple of residents. It involved simply pulling weeds out of flower beds and cleaning gutters. Just all sorts of, and of course the big things are the construction projects that we get into. We still have 4 ongoing projects currently in process. A week ago yesterday, there was a group of us installing windows for an individual. And we need to go back, and we got just a little bit more work to do there. We have another big project helping an individual who's going through a medical crisis. There's just, it continues. And one of the things, we are at a spot, we will continue the plan right now in having that second Saturday in July event. But in addition, because emergencies, crises don't wait for the second Saturday in July. So when people have a need, and you can help with this, if you see a neighbor that cannot afford it, they need assistance in terms of construction kinds of things, cleaning up things, see us about an application, and we will, outside of that date, we'll put a crew together. There's another opportunity for you folks. Right now, our workers, we're stretched a bit. We're allowing some people to go on vacations. So I tell you, if you see Knox's story, pat him on the back, because we're just pulling Knox every direction right now because he has a skill set that we need. So if you have a skill set in that type, even if it's not right now, let us know. We're building a list, and you let Kevin or I know. We'd love to have your name on the list. Even if you're like Ike and a laborer, I'm a good 2x4 carrier. And so my skills are pretty limited. They tell me, drive the screw in here. So that's where I put it. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know what I'm told. So we need helpers. So if that fits you, but let me go one step further. You got me rolling now. This year on those 14 or 15 projects that we worked on the July 9th, I don't believe there was a project that didn't have someone from this church working there. Whether they were painting, whether they were building, whether they were carrying 2x4s, whatever. And I so appreciate you people. Christmas in July is not just a Church of God project. It's a community program. But I so appreciate your stepping up and being part of that. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Jost, can you share a little bit of maybe some of the impacts or some of the things that you've seen come from, your area of serving, writing, or working with the kiddos? What are some of the things that you've seen pop up as a result of some of that?
Well, if I talk about the working with the kids, you form relationships as they are in Sunday school or in youth group or whatever, and that's always temporary because the Sunday school only lasts for a few years, and so does youth group. But what I do notice is that I have these relationships for much, much, much longer. Meaning that I, go to the store or, in town somewhere, and I will almost for sure meet somebody who has gone through one of those programs that I've taught or was part of, and that's just I think that's really amazing. I mean, that's a real impact. Yeah. As far as the writing goes, so the book that I recently published, it's been a few months now, but it's a book about, I think, let me start differently. I think that many of us have a really hard time talking about our faith to people of no faith. We tend to be overwhelmed by it sometimes. We feel like we don't have the right words to explain what our Christian faith is. So in this book, what I did is I didn't actually talk about faith in a theoretical kind of way. I talked about faith in the way that it has impacted me. What did happen to my life after I encountered Christ? And did it without a single church word, no Bible, nothing in there. I mean, as far as being something that will be strange to people who have not encountered that yet. And so that's that project. And again, that's a book that you can pick up there, or you can buy one in the pharmacy also. And what is beautiful to me is that people come up to me, of course, also, and tell me that they have been touched, have been, that something has been moved in them, or that they were able to give it to family members or friends, or hoping to move something in them as well.
Yeah, that's great. I've handed a book or two of yours out to someone, and it's a great tool. Is there anything that has stood out to you, an impact that you've seen where you've served, or is there a story, an event that really touched you through your serving, through your giving?
Wow.
I know I changed the question a little bit. Sorry.
Yes, you did.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
So much for the same sermon. Okay. Well, one that comes to mind, excuse me. Last year we got a request from a couple that man who worked hard all of his life, and because of medical situations, etc., he had a leg amputated, now in a wheelchair. And the kids, his family, came from California, built a really great solid ramp, but he still couldn't get through the doorway. It was a sliding glass door, it didn't work. And so a group of us went down and we pulled out that door and we put in a regular swinging door, and we did some other things to facilitate that. That gentleman was, both he and his wife were so appreciative. They fed us lunch, and they thanked us, and one of the things that happened is one of the guys in our crew got a phone call one morning about 4 o'clock from the wife because the water line on the toilet, for whatever reason, popped off. There was no shut-off on the toilet water. She had water going everywhere, didn't know what to do. Obviously, her husband in a wheelchair couldn't do anything. So a member of our crew went down, had to crawl underneath her trailer to find the shut-off.
Wow.
And he did put a shut-off at the toilet now. We're going to go back because the gentleman cannot get in the bathroom to get to the shower. He's now hops around on one leg to be able to get into the bathroom to get the shower. We're going to rebuild that doorway so he can roll into the shower. Those kinds of things, and not everybody we work for is as appreciative or show their appreciation as much as that couple.
Yeah.
But it feels so good to be able to help people. I shared earlier that for me, I've got golf clubs that I haven't used in a couple of years. I don't go fishing because I get bored that the doggone fish don't bite fast enough.
That's the wrong crowd to tell that to.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm an oddball that way. For me, the thing I enjoy is working on a site like that with friends, with you people that are there with me.
Yeah.
That's my enjoyment. And getting the response from knowing that I'm helping somebody that wouldn't be able to have that.
Yeah,
So.
that's great. Anything stand out to you, Susan, over your 8 years kind of running the food pantry? Something stand out to you that has been just an incredible impact in your life?
I think the most impactful thing is when we have tears at the pantry, which we like laughing and singing. We don't want crying and hollering or anything. But when someone new comes to the pantry and you tell them that they're able to take what they need and they can come as often as they need, they're overwhelmed by that. And they're overwhelmed by what that means to the family. That means that the child will have nutritious meals and be able to go to school fed, ready to learn. It means that they are able to look at other stressors they're having in their household and not worry about where their next meal is going to come from, but they can handle what's being thrown at them or challenges that they have with their vehicles, not being able to repair a vehicle, choosing between medication. A lot of our senior citizens are choosing between electric and medication and food. Those choices don't have to be made anymore. And when they realize that, you're talking about the gratitude that you see, they're just overwhelmed by that, and they will cry right there in the pantry, and it warms our heart. We don't need gratitude. We don't need appreciation. There are many people that come in to the pantry and aren't able to show that or are embarrassed or shamed by needing to come to the pantry, and we just want to be welcoming and remove any barriers that the community sees that we might have so that they feel comfortable coming into the pantry. But the most impactful thing is knowing that when they walk over our threshold that we are actually solving a problem that they have in their household, that they no longer need to be hungry, and they can have nutritious foods, which is really important, that we're not asking them to eat and be grateful for whatever we give them, but our charge is to provide the largest and the most variety of foods so that they can eat towards what they're culturally used to, what their diet restricts them to, what their allergies restrict them to. And so that's really impactful to know that a problem is actually being solved.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I feel like what I'm pick up on, or even what just comes to mind is we've through some of these ministries and many other ministries, seeds are being planted. There are seeds of kindness that are being planted, and that we don't know how years from now Jesus is going to do something in that person's heart because we gave a meal, right? Because we
Right.
opened up the bathroom door so the wheelchair will go through, that we've given someone something to think about that is very relatable to their life from someone else's experience. These are all seeds that God uses to plant in people's hearts and lives to do something and something incredible in their lives. As we begin to kind of wrap up, what are maybe some final, please? Yep.
You're completely right, of course. But what I think is also beautiful is, so we're all in our late 20s, right? I mean, we're not super young anymore, right? Or you are, Susan. The two of us are not very. So what I want to say is this, that I think it's really beautiful that the three of us have no doubt that we have found the ministries that we're good at and that we're made for.
Yeah.
And I think those ministries are out there for every single person. And it's a really fulfilling feeling and sense that God has made you in a certain way, and you found that very place that you can now serve in or, work in. And I think that's just, you might say it's a little self-centric. It's not about, but it's not self-centric. It's just that that's how God made you, and to find that place is awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. Have at it.
Well, I would like to take this opportunity to promote. We could use some help. We have, in addition to the three of us who are in a leadership role, we have a board that meets as often as we need, not anymore. And that board, we're losing an individual who is our money raiser. And when we do out and do a project, in most cases, we buy them, we come with the material and we provide the labor. So it does take money, particularly with the price of lumber right now. So that's a key position that we need to fill. If there's somebody that has a skill in writing grants or twisting arms to raise money, we need that position. And we are welcome to join our board, even if that isn't your fit. Our next meeting is this Wednesday, 4 o'clock at the City Hall in the council chambers. We would welcome anyone. You don't have to be nominated or approved or whatever to be a board member. You show up and you're welcome to participate in the discussion. And we don't get into voting. I don't think we've voted in the last couple of years on anything. We talk it through and we decide what we're going to do. We welcome you to the board. We certainly need workers. If you would be a possible worker sometime, please let Kevin or I know so we can put your name on the list. And even if we call you, you can always say, no, it doesn't fit right now. But we need names on that list. So, and I guess my other sermon, and having this coming up, I've given a lot of thought to different things. And one of them, for me, Jesus has commanded that we love our neighbor. How do we express that love for our neighbor? By serving that neighbor. And everybody that walks on this earth is our neighbor. The guy that's sleeping on a sidewalk over by the bank, he's our neighbor. We are commanded to love him, to love everybody. And if you've got a neighbor that needs a ride to the grocery store once a week or the food pantry once a week, get off from your duff and get out there, and you will find the reward will be overwhelming.
That's right. Yeah. We're going to stick Ike on you. Well, hey, I really appreciate you guys sharing a little bit of just where your ministry is and what that looks like. And I was even thinking this morning, like, we're not here to toot the Church of God's horn. We're here to say this is what God has been doing in the life of this church. That what God's been doing in this community, and we are honored to be a part of it. But as Ike said, we're also challenged to be part of it, right? We're challenged to be able to find our place that God has created us to serve, to give, and to share Jesus. So just super thankful for you guys. And as we wrap up this morning, I was hoping you all would just join me in praying for these folks, for their ministries, for where they serve, and just for the ministries of our church. So would you pray with me? Father, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for just this conversation. God, we thank you for what you are doing, that you are alive, and God, that you are active in the life of this church, in this community, through these ministries, God, through these people right here. I pray, God, that you would use them exactly where they are. Thank you for placing them exactly where they are at, Lord. And Father, for the rest of us this morning, Lord, would you stir in our hearts? Would you stir deeply in our hearts how and where you want us to be, where you want us to serve, where you want us, Lord, to be at, to impact people for your kingdom. Father, we thank you for loving us. Thank you for giving us the gift of your Son, Jesus. And it's in his name that we pray today. Amen.